This is the story of a boy who had nothing, no wealth, no education, and no path forward. But through sheer willpower, he built the most luxurious automobile brand in the world. This is the untold story of Henry Royce, the poor boy who created Rolls-Royce. Henry Royce was born into a world of struggle. His father, James Royce, was a miller, an honest but unlucky man whose business collapsed under financial burdens. The Royce family was not just poor, they were drowning in debt. Little Henry grew up watching his father battle misfortune, moving from town to town in search of work. His childhood was anything but normal. While other children played, he helped his mother mend torn clothes, scavenged for food, and watched as his father's health deteriorated from overwork. Then tragedy struck. Henry was just 9 years old when his father passed away. The weight of survival now rested on the shoulders of his mother, who could barely afford to feed her children. The harsh reality set in. School was a luxury Henry could never afford. With his father gone, Henry had no choice but to work. At the age of 10, he found himself in the streets of London, selling newspapers and delivering telegrams just to bring home a few coins. The days were long, and the nights were longer, cold, hungry, and hopeless. But Henry had something that others didn't, an insatiable hunger for knowledge. He would collect discarded newspapers and read them under the dim street lamps, trying to learn about the world beyond his struggles. One day he stumbled upon an article about engineering, a profession that required skill, precision, and innovation. Something in him clicked. He knew then this was his calling. Despite his exhaustion, he started picking up books on mechanics, scavenging through markets to find anything that could teach him about machines. If he couldn't go to school, he would educate himself. At 14, Henry landed a job as an apprentice at the Great Northern Railway. For the first time in his life, he was surrounded by machines, complex, powerful, and fascinating. But his joy was short-lived. Apprenticeships required fees, and Henry's family couldn't afford it. Just as he was beginning to grasp his passion, he was forced to quit. The disappointment was unbearable. He had been so close. Determined not to give up, Henry took on odd jobs, fixing street lamps, repairing small electrical devices, and even sweeping floors in mechanical workshops just to stay close to machines. He saved every penny he earned and bought second-hand books on engineering. His nights were spent in dimly lit corners, sketching machines on scraps of paper, trying to understand their workings. His friends mocked him. They saw no point in chasing impossible dreams. But Henry was different. He didn't just want to work with machines. He wanted to master them. After years of struggle, Henry finally saved enough money to start his own business. Royce Limited, it was a small workshop that made electric cranes and doorbells. But unlike other businesses, Henry refused to take shortcuts. Every product had to be flawless. If something wasn't perfect, he would tear it apart and start over. His obsession with perfection caught the attention of wealthy businessmen. Soon, orders began to flood in, and Royce Limited grew. But Henry wasn't satisfied. He wanted to create something bigger. One day, Henry came across an automobile. At the time, cars were unreliable, noisy, and seen as a luxury for the wealthy. But Henry saw beyond that. He saw the future. Determined to build a better vehicle, he spent months studying automobile engineering. He borrowed money, bought parts, and locked himself in his workshop. Then in 1904, after endless trial and error, he built his first car. Unlike the clunky automobiles of the time, his car was silent, smooth, and durable. The year was 1904. The air in Manchester was thick with the scent of coal smoke and engine grease, the very lifeblood of Britain's industrial might. Inside the Grand Midland Hotel, a meeting was about to take place, one that would alter the course of automotive history forever. On one side of the room sat Henry Royce, a man shaped by hardship, his calloused hands a testament to the years spent perfecting his craft. He was not a businessman. He was an engineer, an artist whose canvas was metal, whose brushstrokes were precision and innovation. On the other side, Charles Rolls, elegant, confident, and every bit the aristocrat. Where Royce saw engineering problems to solve, Rolls saw opportunity. He had spent years searching for a car worthy of his name, something superior to the unreliable machines cluttering the roads of Britain. The moment he laid eyes on Royce's automobile, he knew he had found it. Their handshake sealed more than just a deal. It was the birth of a legend. The partnership between Rolls and Royce was not without its struggles. Royce was a relentless perfectionist, an obsessive craftsman who demanded absolute excellence. Rolls, in contrast, was a visionary, always looking to push boundaries. They argued, sometimes bitterly, but their combined ambitions gave birth to something extraordinary. Their first creation, the Rolls-Royce 10 GP, was an engineering marvel. Unlike the crude, noisy automobiles of its time, it was smooth, elegant, and quiet. So quiet that it earned the nickname, the Whispering Car. It was unlike anything the world had seen. The Silver Ghost followed, a machine so flawlessly engineered that it was deemed the best car in the world. But perfection had its price. Royce's work ethic bordered on madness. He pushed himself beyond human limits, often collapsing from exhaustion, his health deteriorating rapidly. Rolls, on the other hand, was restless. His love for automobiles had given way to a new obsession: flight. In 1910, Charles Rolls took to the skies in his fragile Wright Flyer. He had become the first Briton to complete a non-stop double crossing of the English Channel by plane. But his passion for aviation would soon claim his life. That same year, in a tragic accident, Rolls' aircraft malfunctioned, sending him plummeting to the ground. He died on impact. At just 32 years old, his life was cut short. His death sent shockwaves through the company. Royce was devastated, but he was not a man who dwelled on loss. Instead, he did what he had always done. He buried himself in work, vowing to honor Rolls' legacy the only way he knew how, by building the greatest machines the world had ever seen. In 1914, when World War I erupted, Rolls-Royce shifted its focus. Their engineering genius was no longer just about luxury, it was about survival. The company developed the Eagle engine, a powerhouse that would become the beating heart of British fighter planes. By the end of the war, Rolls-Royce had cemented its reputation not just as a maker of luxury cars, but as a leader in aviation engineering. But the world was changing, the roads were evolving, and so was Rolls-Royce. The 1920s and 30s were a golden era for Rolls-Royce. The Phantom series became the epitome of luxury, driven by royalty, celebrities, and the world's elite. Yet behind the scenes, Royce's health continued to decline. In 1933, after years of relentless work, Henry Royce passed away. But his death did not mark the end of the brand. In fact, it was just the beginning of a new chapter. In 1939, World War II saw Rolls-Royce pivot once again, producing the legendary Merlin engine, the very force that powered the Spitfire and the Mustang, the aircraft that turned the tide of war. The post-war years were an era of reinvention. The Phantom series evolved, each model a masterpiece of luxury and engineering. But by the 1970s, financial turmoil threatened to destroy everything. The company faced bankruptcy, and for a moment, it seemed as if the Rolls-Royce legacy might come to an end. But legends do not fade so easily. A government bailout saved Rolls-Royce's aviation division, while the automobile business was eventually acquired by BMW in the 1990s. Under BMW's leadership, Rolls-Royce found new life, blending modern technology with its timeless heritage. Today, the spirit of ecstasy still graces the hoods of Rolls-Royce vehicles. They are more than just cars. They are symbols of ambition, perseverance, and the relentless pursuit of perfection. Henry Royce's dream lives on. His obsession with excellence, his refusal to compromise, and his undying belief that quality comes before everything else continue to define the brand. And so, over a century later, the name Rolls-Royce remains untouchable, a testament to what happens when visionaries refuse to accept anything less than perfection. Henry Royce. From a poor boy struggling to survive to a man who built the most prestigious automotive brand in history, Henry Royce's journey was nothing short of extraordinary. His legacy continues, proving that passion, persistence, and perfection can turn dreams into reality. If you enjoyed this story and found it as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more videos like this. But that's not all. There are so many more incredible stories waiting to be told. If you don't want to miss them, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll always be the first to watch. And if you know someone who would love this story, share this video with them. Let's spread these incredible stories together. Thank you for watching.